Good morning, Colorado. It's 8 a.m. on the Sunday, July 13th. I'm Josh Helmuth. We do have breaking news right now regarding a crash on the east side of Colorado Springs. Fountain and Powers are shut down right now. Now to that breaking news right now, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation is on scene searching the co-owner of Davis Mortuary, Brian Cotter's home. KRDO 13 was also there as CBI scoured the home of his brother, Chris, as well. Now, the owner of this funeral home is none other than the county coroner himself, Brian Cotter, an elected official. There's still police on the premise monitoring the scene. The whole building is shut down. They have it closed off. There's one in the corner, one in the parking lot right here. We had one neighbor tell us that they saw several police officers. I met two families already this morning who were in tears just at the thought of not knowing if their loved one is in there or not. They thought they were laid to rest. Now they're not sure. Mackenzie Stafford's going to have more on that coming up later in the show. But in case you're just joining us now for the very first time today, here's a recap of what's happened. In fact, a reminder email was sent out to staff on Friday, July 11th at 8:50 a.m. announcing expanded hours of that closure. So I contacted the FAA, asked questions about the closure. We talked on the phone. My last text to them was sent at 10:49 a.m. Again, asking questions about the closure. Just 2.5 hours later, by 1:18 in the afternoon, the FAA unexpectedly announced they were canceling that closure at the airport indefinitely. We have more breaking news before you go. You might want to brace yourself for this one. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. Look at this. This might be the breaking news that might break the news. And from what I heard, I'm seeing this picture for the first time. My wife texted me that, there it is. She says the ring is breaking the internet. Oh, Travis.
This is alert 3.
2025 started with an unprecedented commercial airline tragedy in Washington.
Right there, that horrific fireball.
Just weeks later, an emergency landing in Denver.
Charlie 48, engine fire, copy.
Injuring a dozen people. Meanwhile, air traffic control issues.
It's at a full-blown staffing crisis.
Continue to plague air travel.
We've had a lack of investment in infrastructure. We've had a lack of investment in staffing.
Christopher Hastings worked as an air traffic controller for nearly a decade, much of his time at the Pueblo Airport Tower.
And on any given day, how many lives are in your hands?
Oh, thousands.
Hastings can't comment on incidents or crashes due to aircraft mechanical issues, but he's willing to explain what's happening during your flight at air traffic control.
The facilities are old. I know at Pueblo Tower we had a roof leak that caused one of the tiles to fall down while we were working. At other facilities they've had to deal with asbestos mitigation, flooding. Everyone's working 6 days a week. Equipment is another area that needs to be focused on.
Is it true that air traffic control still uses floppy disks?
There are portions of equipment that, you have to use a floppy disk to update it.
Is it safe to fly right now?
It's safe to fly, but I would say the system is strained.
So strained that Hastings quit last year. In fact, staffing shortages are affecting the Colorado Springs airport. KRDO 13 Investigates obtained an internal release in June from the Air Traffic Control Union and the Colorado Springs Airport announcing overnight closures to the COS Air Traffic Control Tower due to low staffing. It says effective July 13th, the COS Air Traffic Control Tower would shut down nightly from 2:30 to 5 a.m. to address, quote, serious ongoing staffing challenges. In fact, a reminder email was sent out to staff on Friday, July 11th at 8:50 a.m. announcing expanded hours of that closure. So I contacted the FAA, asked questions about the closure. We talked on the phone. My last text to them was sent at 10:49 a.m. Again, asking questions about the closure. Just 2.5 hours later, by 1:18 in the afternoon, the FAA unexpectedly announced they were canceling that closure at the airport indefinitely. We asked the FAA about the last-second change. They simply said they're still evaluating a proposal to temporarily close the Colorado Springs Air Traffic Control Tower during the overnight shift. So we went to the Colorado Springs Airport. Management here didn't want to go on camera, but they did invite me into their front office, and they allowed me to audio record our conversation. Has the FAA been in communication with you about their shortages and what they're trying to do?
So initially, yeah. So that memo essentially came out after conversations with them. This is still a safe operation, regardless if the tower is open or closed. It's common practice within the United States that towers close overnight. The pilot can still broadcast on the frequency. There's just not a controller, you on the other end, to give directions.
And the staffing shortage isn't unique. According to this FAA plan just released last week, Denver, Colorado Springs, and the Pueblo Towers are all below their staffing targets.
Just naturally, if you are constantly exhausted and fatigued, you're going to make more mistakes. So that is already eroding one layer of safety, which is the controller itself.
Without saying any names, do you know for certain where there is an air traffic controller who made a mistake? Maybe they were coping on the job with stimulants or alcohol. Do you know for certain that that's happened here in Colorado?
Yes, I do. The men and women that work in air traffic, they're professionals. But there is some truth to there being that within the industry.
Despite the air traffic control crisis, 2025 is on pace to be one of the safest commercial flight years in a long time. The U.S. has had 10 commercial flight accidents so far this year. That's according to our count on the NTSB database. However, the data doesn't show all the close calls. KRDO 13 Investigates did a deep dive into the Aviation Safety Reporting System database. In March of last year, 2 small planes nearly collided at the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport in Broomfield. A controller reported needing, quote, greater staffing numbers. In September 2021 at DIA, only 3 controllers were on duty instead of the goal of 10, and those 3 controllers were in charge of 114 planes. They requested to lower the workload, but were denied. One anonymous controller said in the report, quote, working with so few controllers without reducing the arrival rate is an accident waiting to happen. And just on May 12th this year, the Denver Air Route Traffic Control Center in Longmont had a communications outage for 90 seconds. No one was hurt, but the FAA is investigating.
We reached out to the Air Traffic Controllers Union about the crisis, but we never got a response. Back in May, new Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced they're working on a new state-of-the-art system for air traffic controllers, but many believe that even if all of it's funded, we're still decades away from implementation. In Colorado Springs, Josh Helmuth, KRDO 13 Investigates. Southern Colorado certainly has many core values, and for some, religion certainly plays a big role. However, many Americans are noticing political differences are splitting church congregations. In fact, it's a split so wide that authors, researchers, they're calling it the Big Split. But some, now rare churches still have a mix of those who vote blue and those who vote red. They're referred to as a purple church. I found one church in Colorado Springs that welcomes the issue with open arms. In fact, you can tell they're a purple church just by walking through the parking lot on the way to the sanctuary. Polar opposite spectrums right there. They're proof you can stay unified, though, even when politics and religion clash. Here's my special report. The Purple Church, 2 parties, 1 faith. The sound of Sunday morning. It's a similar tone for millions of Americans.
Hold on to it tightly because it is God's love.
But what they hear in 2025
Jesus was absolutely clear.
may be different
Are we willing to offer help?
depending on who you ask.
Offering kindness, mercy, and justice.
At this church in Colorado Springs, pews are filled with people who vote differently, yet pray together.
Will we put people first?
A congregation that's a dying sort during a time when faith communities often align with a political ideology.
It has been very difficult the past 4 weeks.
Pastor Ann Cubbage leads the Broadmoor Community Church. It's a United Church of Christ congregation that's been a haven for Christians for decades.
I think that it's important that I walk the line, caring for each and every person.
But 2025 has brought unprecedented political tension.
Do we measure up? So in my sermons, I am not political, except that, well, I shouldn't say that. They are political, but I always couch them in biblical values, in biblical characters.
The church prides itself on welcoming all with open arms. Whether you vote red or blue, it's what many refer to as a purple church.
I want you to raise your hand if you believe in helping the sick.
Several members sat down with us.
Okay, I want you to raise your hand if you believe in helping the poor.
Half liberal, half conservative.
I want you to raise your hand if you believe in loving my neighbor.
All on common ground.
I think we're done here. All right, thanks.
All right. I don't see our church as that far apart where we have to accommodate each other. I see us as accepting each other. So
what do you look at when it comes to really hard topics that are tough to talk about? The immigration at the border, pro-choice versus pro-life.
We do discuss things that we absolutely disagree and listen, but we try to listen to each other and respect each other's opinion, and then move forward and realize that we still agree on way more than we disagree with.
How does a church in this day and age thrive like that? Because I think we just mentioned we haven't seen
a contentious political spectrum like this in our lifetimes, possibly ever.
It doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. So, nobody worries or cares about stuff like that. Love is the overarching constant of this church.
We have to be careful. We need to make sure we don't have assumptions about someone just because they're a little further right or a little further left than we are.
Everyone is accepted here. And like we say, whoever you are or wherever you are in your journey, you're welcome here.
I think young people also are looking for what are you doing? What's the church doing? Not just what are you preaching, what are the tenets that you have to sign up to. What are you doing? How are you showing love for your neighbor?
And what would you like to see out of our elected leaders?
We need to act in loving ways. Eventually, that's all what it comes down to, is how do we treat our neighbor and who is our neighbor.
We have to be in relationship with one another. We have to hear one another before we can ever expect to change any minds. Or maybe never, but at least to respect the other person's point of view.
A congregation that, despite political difference,
Folks, the Prince of Peace
doesn't part
has gone fishing.
like the Red Sea,
We can follow the way of the world,
where compassion
or we can embrace Christ's call
trumps partisanship,
to love boldly,
where purple isn't just a color,
to speak truth in the face of power.
it's a calling.
Will we leave our boats, our comfort,
Josh Helmuth,
our way of being,
KRDO 13,
to follow Jesus?
Colorado Springs.
Amen.
You can go to KRDO.com right now to read more about BCC and the Purple Church. It includes my interview, too, with Ryan Burge right here. He is a former Baptist pastor from Illinois who's now a professor at Eastern Illinois University. He's authored several books about religion and politics, and his latest upcoming book is about the big split. It's called The Vanishing Church.